This is a movie-crazy town. We had 5 downtown theaters in the 1950s, but this theater here was built in 1943. This was the State Theater. In a small town, it was a big deal.
Like a tour guide to another era, James Johnston strolls the street corners and sidewalks of Big Spring, where every intersection has a story. Few, though, have a history like the spot where Old Highway 80 and Runnels Street come together.
This is basically Midnight Cowboy Central right here. This corner? This corner right here.
James was home from college on summer break back in 1968 when the lights, camera, and action of Hollywood came to Howard County, filming for the Academy Award-winning movie Midnight Cowboy.
One of the scenes that you'll recognize in the movie is John Voight walking this direction, and he went up the street and turned down Main Street, and they shot a scene down Main Street. And then it was a scene of him leaving town and making a trip to New York. So this is the scene in the movie right here where they shot coming back this way.
How do you know all of this?
Well, I kind of snuck on the set. I took these pictures and wasn't supposed to, but I did. I had a little Instamatic camera and I kind of put it at my waist and take these pictures.
Midnight Cowboy was one of several movies using the streets of James's hometown for the perfect backdrop. He's written a book of Big Spring's brush with the big screen.
These are actually my pictures.
What other movies other than Midnight Cowboy have caught your eye that were made here in Big Spring?
Well, there's actually not anything as good as the Bradshaw movies, the home movies that they made. They were an institution in this town. For 53 and a half years, they recorded this town.
Okay, we're going to the Bradshaw room.
The Bradshaw room?
Yes, we have an entire room devoted to the Bradshaw sisters.
How many sisters were there?
There were 7 sisters.
Tammy Schrencengost is the director at the Big Spring Heritage Museum.
This one is Tot and Pearl.
It's here where the story of the Bradshaw sisters is displayed for the world.
They opened a photography studio back in 1922 here in Big Spring.
As teenagers, they were ahead of their time.
Ahead of their time is putting it mildly. Sisters Tot and Pearl Bradshaw staged elaborate photo sessions for their cameras, some of which, for the 1920s, were somewhat risque, especially in Big Spring.
Every time you pull one out, it's a surprise. And if you'll look at this one, they're photographed smoking.
Which was a big no-no.
It was a big no-no.
Part of their risque behavior.
Exactly. They wanted to push that envelope as much as they could. They were the first with everything, and also the first to wear bathing suits during their day, but that was very risque to show your legs.
Wow.
And then later on, they started doing movies. They started shooting movies in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they accumulated massive amounts of film. We have tons and tons of these movies.
Most people that come in here to watch them, there are 3 different movies, and most people will sit through every one of them.
As it turns out, Big Spring's Shutterbug sisters had a relative who was a newsreel cameraman. On a visit to Big Spring, he showed them the mechanics of moving pictures. And for the next several decades, Tot and Pearl Bradshaw recorded miles and miles of movie film. Everything newsworthy in their hometown, from famous people, floods, and festivals. The enormous collection of raw footage was packed away in boxes, almost forgotten after the Bradshaw sisters died more than 25 years ago.
They recorded Big Spring. The history of Big Spring wouldn't be recorded without them. We got the Bradshaw movies from a nephew, and when I found them, I said, these need to be made into something. There's a lot of stuff here that people talk about that they've never seen a picture of it. I love this section of the film right here. It shows downtown, how busy it used to be, and look at all the action going on.
When somebody says to me, come over and see my home movies, I can't think up enough excuses. But you guys have made this into a big deal in this town.
Yes, I hope so. And it was a big deal back then because not everybody had movie cameras. And they would actually show these at church gatherings and parties, and people actually were excited to see something. You have to understand, this is 1930s and 40s when people were really into the golden age of movies, and we had a different world then.
If somebody from another planet dropped in here and came in and sat down and watched the Bradshaw sisters movies, what do you think it would say to them?
That life's valuable, that life is worth recording like this and keeping like this.
We've heard people in these parts say the Bradshaw sisters were ahead of their time, pushing the envelope, first with photography, then with the moving image. For historian James Johnston, Big Spring will always be the place where scenes from an Academy Award-winning motion picture were filmed. But James found he's really starstruck with the shaky and grainy footage of Tot and Pearl Bradshaw, who reached across decades and showed us that memories truly can live forever.
A lot of times when I'm looking at them, I go, well, I wish it would flicker less, and I wish it was more focused. But in the end, it doesn't matter.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. Life is good. Very good.